Do you know what the biggest book in the world is? Yes, it's the Bible. Now you might wonder, how can one book be so big? Well, the Bible is not just one big book. It's like a giant library filled with lots of smaller books, each one packed with its own amazing story. From adventures on the high seas to lessons of love and kindness, there's a story for everyone. Ready to dive into this big book and discover its little books? Here we go. First, we explore the Old Testament, a treasure chest of 39 books. This part of the Bible is like a grand library, filled with stories of heroes, lessons of wisdom, and even songs and poems. Let's imagine the Old Testament as a house with 4 different rooms. Each room represents a different category: the law, history, poetry, and prophecy. The first room, the law, is like the rules in a board game. Just as we need rules to play a game fairly, the law guides people on how to live a good and fair life. This section includes books like Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Next, we step into the room of history. This room is like a giant photo album. Each book in this section tells the story of different people and events, just like how pictures in an album capture special moments in time. Books like Joshua, Judges, Ruth, and the books of Samuel, Kings, and Chronicles are here. Now let's enter the room of poetry. If you love songs and poems, you'll love this room. Books like Job, Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Song of Solomon fill this room. They're like beautiful songs that express emotions and share wisdom. Finally, we come to the room of prophecy. This room is like a weather forecast, predicting what will happen in the future. These books like Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and Daniel, along with the 12 minor prophets, share messages from God about what's to come. Wow, that's a lot of books in one. But hold on, we have more to discover. Now let's turn the page to the New Testament. It's a collection of 27 books. Think of the New Testament as a treasure chest filled with wonderful stories, letters, and prophecies. Just like a chest has different compartments, the New Testament has different parts. These include the Gospels, history, letters, and prophecy. Let's start with the Gospels. The Gospels are the first 4 books of the New Testament: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They're kind of like 4 best friends all telling the same amazing story, each from their unique perspective. Imagine if you and your friends all saw a rainbow and you each described it in your own way. That's what the Gospels are like. Next up is history. This is the book of Acts. It's like a travel diary, documenting the adventures of the early followers of Jesus. Think about when you go on a fun trip and you jot down all the exciting things you do and see. That's what the book of Acts is like. Then we have the letters, also known as epistles. These are like emails or letters that were sent long ago by followers of Jesus to different churches and individuals. There are 21 of these, written by people like Paul, Peter, James, John, and Jude. Imagine writing a letter to your best friend about something really important. That's what these authors were doing. Lastly, there's prophecy. This is the book of Revelation, and it's like a mystery novel. It tells of things that are yet to happen in a way that is filled with symbolism and imagery. Imagine reading a mystery book where you're trying to figure out what's going to happen next. That's what the book of Revelation is like. That was exciting, wasn't it? But we're not done yet. There's more to learn. Did you know that the Bible has many authors? It's like a book club where everyone wrote a part. Now, isn't that interesting? The Bible is not just a book, but a collection of many books, written by many different people. And these people weren't just any people. They were shepherds, kings, fishermen, and many more. They lived in different times and places, but they all came together to write this special book. Let's imagine for a moment. Picture a shepherd out in the fields looking after his sheep. He's got a lot of time to think and pray. And then he feels inspired to write down his thoughts and experiences. That's how some parts of the Bible were written. Then imagine a king in his palace. He's got a lot of responsibilities, ruling over his kingdom. But he also finds time to write, to share his wisdom and his prayers. That's how other parts of the Bible were written. And don't forget the fishermen. They spent their days out at sea catching fish. But they also had stories to tell about their experiences and the things they saw. And so they too contributed to the Bible. But it wasn't just these folks. There were also prophets, tax collectors, doctors, and many others who wrote parts of the Bible. And they didn't all write at the same time. In fact, it took hundreds of years for the Bible to be completed. Each of these authors brought their own unique perspective and experiences to the Bible. They wrote about their hopes, their fears, their joys, and their sorrows. They wrote about their faith in God and their experiences with Him. And through their words, we get a glimpse of who they were and what their world was like. Isn't it amazing how all these people from different walks of life came together to write the Bible? It's like a beautiful patchwork quilt, each piece unique, but all coming together to create something truly special. Imagine the Bible as a big movie. What do you think it's about? Well, just like a good movie, the Bible has some key themes that run all the way through it. They are like golden threads woven into a beautiful tapestry. Let's explore some of these themes together. First, let's talk about God's love. Have you ever felt the warm hug of a parent or a friend? That's a little bit like God's love. It's a love that's always there no matter what. It's a love that is caring, comforting, and never ending. In the Bible, there are many stories that show us this incredible love. From the creation of the world to the life of Jesus, God's love is always present. Next, there's forgiveness. You know when you've done something wrong and you say sorry, and the person you've hurt says, "It's okay, I forgive you." Well, that's a lot like how God forgives us. The Bible is full of stories of people who make mistakes, just like we all do, but God is always ready to forgive them. Lastly, let's talk about God's promises. Have you ever made a promise to a friend, like promising to share your favorite toy or to help them with their homework? Well, God makes promises too. Throughout the Bible, God makes many promises to His people, and the best part is, God always keeps His promises. So if we had to sum up the Bible's main themes in 3 words, they would be love, forgiveness, and promises. These themes are like the colors in a rainbow, each one unique, but all working together to create something beautiful. Remember, just like a big movie, the Bible has lots of exciting parts. But these main themes of God's love, forgiveness, and promises are the heart of the story. So the Bible tells us about God's love, forgiveness, and promises. Isn't that wonderful? We've had a fun journey exploring the Bible today, haven't we? We've wandered through the Old Testament, full of ancient tales and wisdom. We met amazing characters, saw incredible miracles, and learned about God's love and promises. Then we hopped on over to the New Testament, where we discovered the life of Jesus, His teachings, and the start of the Christian church. Along the way, we've met the authors of these amazing books. Remember Moses, who wrote the first 5 books? Or Paul, who wrote many of the letters in the New Testament? Their words have been shared and cherished for thousands of years, and now we get to explore them too. We also dove into the main themes of the Bible. We talked about love, faith, forgiveness, and hope. These are big ideas, but they're also part of our everyday lives. And the best part, the Bible is full of stories that help us understand these concepts better. So here we are at the end of our journey. But really, it's just the beginning. The Bible is a big book full of little books with amazing stories. Each page invites you to a new adventure, a new lesson, a new discovery. So why not pick up a Bible and start exploring these stories yourself? There's a whole world waiting for you in there. Happy reading, friends!